This chapter was very much the Terry show, as I like to call it, and we really got to see the true strength in brains over brawn.
Ha! Toriko, gourmet number 57, a glimpse of royalty!
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the tantalizing and terry-cloth-filled tale of Toriko. A lot of T's in that one. Our last chapter saw us with really kind of being able to get a little bit of a background and just kind of see the setting of this Wu jungle. And for some reason, I just can't help but think that the Wu-Tang clan is from the Wu jungle. Mainly because I've never seen much else spelled with Wu. But that's just me. The last chapter, though, at the end of it, saw them as they were, as Terry and Toriko were getting in the jungle. Terry went and sensed and pushed Toriko out of the way after he had to lop off a piece of his shoulder because of that plant that was growing in there from the bird droppings or what have you. And this huge, gnarled, crazy type of, like, out of just nightmares tree grabbed Terry. So that's how the chapter left off, and that's where the chapter picks up. And this chapter really should just be called Terry Beats Some Ass, or Terry is a Boss. Because we wind up seeing that even at this very early stage in his life, now we know that he wound up besting the Obosaurus, but that was done kind of off camera. We didn't really see how it happened, we just saw the aftermath, and he was riding on it, and the Obosaurus and him were homies, right? So this was kind of cool because you've seen really very little of Terry. You've seen that he has intelligence, you've seen that he's got some speed, but you haven't really seen him do a lot of anything other than just a panel or two or page or two here or there. And this is very much Terry's chapter is what it is. Toriko goes and he goes and assesses the actual thing, this Goblin Tree, and sees that and it shows that it's capture level 33, and Toriko goes and judging by the flower petals from the peaceful flower that came off, it's about a 30-ish capture level. And then he goes on to say, you know, Terry wound up besting the Obosaurus, and the whole thing about it is that the Obosaurus was basically made to be Toriko's bitch, and if Terry went and bested him, that must mean that Terry has greater strength than Toriko even, and Toriko's like, you know, but he hasn't shown it yet. So the Obosaurus must have sensed that greatness within him, that potential, right? And so I think it's very kind of cool because potential is one of those double-edged swords, very dangerous word. You can have all the potential in the world, but if you don't actually act upon it, you know, what good are you? You know what I mean? I could be the best this or that, the best musician, the best artist this, but if I don't actually do anything to get to that goal, if I don't push through all the negativity and everything else that'll come with it, am I ever going to be able to actually show or prove or have anybody in the world know that I'm the best at this thing, right? So that's kind of where I sit on potential. But the whole fight was just done very well because Terry, of course, is kind of, you know, he's been grabbed by this thing. And we see Toriko as he goes and explains, and the thing actually looks like it's moving because it uses these aerial roots that normally take decades to go and form, where a tree looks like it's actually moving, you know, and this thing can actually pick up and put down these things quickly in succession, which actually gives it the illusion that it's moving, right? It's got all kinds of crazy, you know, it's able to grab other animals and kind of suck the life force out of them as well, you know, so this thing's kind of like this leech as well. Very cool the way it's drawn. But Toriko goes and just breaks him off a branch cigar and lights that sumbitch up by flicking his fingers, because apparently he's just that cool, and he starts smoking and puffing on this thing, right? Holding my hand up like I got a microphone or a penis in my hand, and it's neither. But, so I don't know why I'm doing that. I guess a cigar is more like that, you know. So he's smoking a cigar, and he just kind of sits back, and he's like, all right, Terry, you know what? I sense that creature, and I appreciate you helping me out, but I told you the whole law of the jungle thing here, and that, you know, you can't have you being a liability watching out for me, so to teach you a lesson, you got to take this sumbitch out by yourself. And I kind of like that. You know, it's like, hey, listen, man, you broke it, you bought it. You know what I mean? I would have sensed it and taken care of it, but since you didn't want to listen to me and you helped me out even despite me saying no, your reward for that is you get to kill the Goblin Tree, right? So Terry's like, all right. You know, he just, all of a sudden, man, you see this cool page where it's just like, and I mean just everywhere. There's just flashes and lines of, you know, just Terry, right? And moving at supersonic speed, you know. And you've got Toriko goes and he's just like, man, Terry's moving so fast. He's using his speed. That must be his, you know, one of his strengths and this and that, right? And then you go and you see at one point Terry goes and he actually, after some of this happens, he actually gets caught, you know, and he can't move and everything. And the tree's going to go and like ingest him. And it's great because Toriko goes and he's just like, this, you know, the tree ingests, or looks like it, you know, swallows Terry up or whatever. And then he goes and he's just like, Toriko's like, what are you smiling at? You know, because the tree just kind of had this big old shit-eating grin on its face like, I won. And he's like, yeah, you didn't win, buddy. You lost. And I'm thinking, what the hell's he talking about, right? All of a sudden, like little parts of its branches start like puffing, flames start coming up and starts on fire. And I'm like, what's going on? Who the hell set him on fire? You know, I'm thinking Toriko doesn't have mental telekinesis fire powers. I know that. At least we haven't seen him. And I'm thinking, what the hell, right? So then they go and they explain the whole thing as Terry winds up getting out of the tree, obviously, and the tree just, you know, just bursts into flames and winds up becoming decimated. When Terry started moving at supersonic speed, it wasn't to go and take out the tree and its numerous roots and branches and everything like that. Terry used his brain, man. Terry is a smart fighter. Yeah, he's beastly and he's fast and he's strong and he's of legend and from the gourmet world and all this other stuff and cut from the cloth of royalty and kings. But on top of it, Terry got a brain between those ears, right? Terry went, when he started flying around like that, wound up going and splitting open a bunch of the sake-filled coconuts, right, that Toriko was drinking in the last chapter. And Toriko's like, and they're 60 proof alcohol. Anybody who knows anything about alcohol, 60 proof is enough to where you can light that shit on fire. It's flammable, right? Even low counts of alcohol of 10 and 20% can be lit on fire. But 60 proof is pretty decent, 30% alcohol, and certainly can go up in flames. And then what he did is he went and he started going and he wasn't ripping into the branches and stuff. He was going and if you go quickly enough, just like when you rub two sticks together to actually start a fire, same type of thing. That friction, that speed and friction caused sparks to ignite and start igniting all this sake that had been falling on this thing during the course of the battle. And then the thing winds up lighting up, man, and I'm like, yeah, Terry, you know? Best sidekick ever. I really, really want to have Terry. Seriously. I got a fucking cat named Zorro, okay? Cool, but I'm not real big into cats as it is. I'm more of a dog person anyway. And I always wanted a wolf when I was younger. It's like my favorite animal. And I just love everything about wolves, right? But unfortunately, it's pretty difficult to go and actually raise one of those and not have it at some point go and turn on you and want to bite your hand off. Or worse. But anyway, besides my fascination with wolves over there, the chapter ends up shortly after that, and really this one blew by very quickly, but we kind of learn a lesson here. Number one, don't cross Toriko, or he's going to make you go and fight, you know, and do whatever, make you fight whatever you messed with. And the other thing, too, at the end, it's neat, because Terry goes and he comes over and goes to pick up a piece of the tree and eat it, you know, and the burnt, smoldering tree, you know, and then, and it's cool because Toriko remembers and has a little flashback to a couple chapters ago when he told Terry, you know, we eat what we kill, right? And then he goes, so it's like Terry remembers that and has enough respect for Toriko, even though his tastes are all messed up and he wants some food from the gourmet world. He still has enough respect for his master to be like, that's what you told me, that's what I'm going to do. So you got to like Terry, man. Smart, a loyal soldier, he's fast, he cute and cuddly. I mean, come on, man, you know? Oh, I love it. Anyway, so that's where the chapter wraps up. Shortly after that, Toriko goes and tells him it's okay, you don't have to eat this burnt thing. And then he says about how that it'll turn into, you know, break down into bacteria and this and that, and it'll basically wind up eventually being able to regrow itself. But then he goes and he says, I don't even know how far its branches and roots, you know, stretch. Let's go see. And then kind of you go and you see like this double page spread as the shot pulls out and you see above the triple canopy of that jungle that was like night that you couldn't even see it. And you actually see the elusive BB corn sticking out of it. So certainly excited about that. And that was just kind of a neat reveal in the way it was done, you know, because sort of in an ass backwards way, you know, I think really it was just kind of like, hey, let's see about these roots and where they go and how tall this tree actually is. And although I presume that Toriko and Terry have not gotten there yet, I think it's kind of one of those, like the camera pans out as the chapter comes to a close and you just sort of see this picture and you see the corn sticking out of it, man. It's very, very cool stuff. My chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is what are your thoughts on Terry's tactics and Terry's brains overall? Brains over brawn, I guess you would say, because ultimately what Terry did was he utilized his strengths and he exposed the enemy's weakness, and that's how you can win, by using your brain. A lot of people think that just blunt force, we have the power, we have the manpower, we have the men, we'll go break down the place, and that doesn't always work. We've seen smaller forces over history, smaller forces that are better prepared, that are smarter fighters, that fight smarter, that can actually go and hold off a larger force of 5, 10, 20, 50 times its size, you know? So if you don't believe me, go watch the movie 300. Sure, is some of the stuff crazy and big and glorified and done over the top for Hollywood? Yes, but that's absolutely rooted in an actual true story of something that actually happened. So of them holding off this force that was thousands of times larger than that for a number of days, you know, until everybody could kind of rally behind and whatnot, eventually, push back. But that's a story for another time. So leave your answer to my question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, or just for Terry as a cool pet, right? Thumbs up for Terry as a cool pet. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
Do you like brooding young man flying through the air with sword and jetpack? If you do, go take a look at my Facebook and Instagram page for more.